The theme for this panel discussion is the economic value that passenger rail brings by connecting cities. Moderating this discussion is Chris Brady, Chair of the APTA Committee on High-Speed Rail and Intercity Passenger Rail. APTA Committee on High-Speed and Intercity Passenger Rail and Principal of the Commonwealth Research Associates, LLC. Mr. Brady is a recognized expert in the field of government relations and strategic planning, drawing on more than 25 years of experience at the state and national levels. Working in public and private sector positions, he has authored and contributed to numerous acts of Congress, congressional resolutions, and federal regulations and initiatives. I will now turn the time over to him, and when he is ready, to introduce each panelist and begin this section of the program.
Thank you very much. Welcome. You have picked the perfect week to be in Washington, D.C. Last week it was pouring rain. Next week everything will be covered in yellow pollen. This week is the perfect week with the Cherry Blossom Festival and a very successful visit by Prime Minister Kishida. And I cannot pass up a mention of the White House fact sheet that came out of the visit mentioning the Amtrak Texas High-Speed Rail project, because there are so many people in this room that are associated with that project and have worked on it. It takes a lot of months to get 2 good sentences out of a fact sheet, but it is something that for which there is no substitute. I want to thank Chairman Shikori, President Katelis, for putting this symposium together, and of course Jennifer Mitchell. She's always a hard act to follow because she covers everything from A to Z. We have a wonderful panel here today. And I think the moderator already mentioned that what we're looking to discuss today is the economic benefits that intercity high-speed rail bring to connecting America's cities. With me on the dais today are Mr. Masaru Yosano, Corporate Officer, Chief General Manager, Consulting and Coordination Office, CNC, oversees High-Speed Railway Project Technology Planning Department, General Technology Division of JR Central. If you've never seen Mr. Yosano's business card, it is this big. Next is Ms. Satoko Okumura, Executive Director, East Japan Railway Company, Los Angeles office. Most of you know our colleague Andy Byford, who is the Senior Vice President of High-Speed Rail Programs for Amtrak. And last but not least, Chad Edison, my Vice Chairman on my APTA panel, and Chief Deputy Secretary, Rail and Transit, California State Transportation Agency. So our panel today will have 4 presentations, each 5 minutes long. And we have already proctored some questions and answered following all presentations. So with that in mind, I would turn it over to Mr. Yosano.
My name is Masaru Yosano from Central Japan Railway. Thank you very much for inviting me to this precious opportunity. Thank you. I would like to start my presentation.
Found the clicker. I'm so glad. One more.
JR Central Group is doing business in the field of not only railways, but also other areas such as hotels, merchandising, real estate, and construction and maintenance work. JR Central's railway business is to operate Tokaidon Shinkansen and the conventional lines in the Shizuoka and Nagoya area. We have also started construction of Chuo Shinkansen by using superconducting maglev technology connecting from Tokyo to Nagoya. and we are targeting to connect from Tokyo to Osaka. Chuo Shinkansen will work as a bypass of Tokaido Shinkansen. As you can see, our railway business covers important area for Japan's economy. I want to introduce some key feature of Tokaido Shinkansen. One is the safety. We have no onboard passenger casualties since 1964. The high speed, Tokaido Shinkansen maximum speed is 285 kilometers, 170 miles per hour. This train set can travel 300 kilometers in the Sanyo Shinkansen area. The minimum speed of the Tokaido Shinkansen, Tokyo to Osaka, is 2 hours and 21 minutes. And the next one is reliability. Annual average delay time is just 1.1 minutes, including natural disaster like heavy earthquake and heavy rain. Usually, there is no delay. Next one is high capacity and high frequency. Annual ridership of the before COVID-19 is 168 million people using Tokaido Shinkansen. Average number of the trains trained per day is 378 trains before COVID-19. Recently, the passenger number is slowly recovering, and therefore, average number train set of 2023 around 360 or 370. Maximum number of train set per day is 471 trains. We can operate Nozomi train, Nozomi train per hour, per direction. So which means at peak time, we can operate Shinkansen every 3 or 4 minutes to one direction. The final one is environmental friendly. Shinkansen's technology is very environment friendly. So compared with aircraft, energy consumption is 1 of 8, and CO2 emission is 1 of 12. Tokaido Shinkansen has been making a great contribution to the Japanese economic growth, as you can see. About of the 61% of the population is living in the corridor of Tokaido Shinkansen. I can show you about the 2 examples of the how high-speed railway contribute of the city development. In 1999, JR Central is constructed of the JR Central Towers in Nagoya. Since then, Nagoya Station area is highly developed. As you can see, in 2019, there are so many buildings near Nagoya Station area. And also, another examples, Tokaido Shinkansen, JRC constructed Shinagawa Station as a second station of Tokyo area. In 1995, you can see there's no big building, but when we opened the Shinagawa Station in 2003, you can see there are so many buildings quickly constructed. I want to briefly explain about the project we are supporting. One is a Texas High-Speed Railway project. JRC has provided of technical support to Texas Central since 2016. FRA approved of the key regulatory process of the RPA and EIS in 2020. JRC supported TC in this process. Amtrak is now exploring to join Texas project with TC, and we are very excited Amtrak joined this project. Next one is the Northeast Corridor SC Maglev project. This is a project to connect Washington, D.C. and New York by using of the SC Maglev project. Northeast Corridor company is now promoting this project. First stage to connect Washington and Baltimore as a showcase. The last one is we are also supporting of Taiwan high-speed railway. As you can see, the number of the passenger has been dramatically increased in Taiwan. JRC has been providing technical support since 2014. So we are very excited to support overseas project by using of Tokaido Shinkansen technology. Thank you very much.
Our next presenter is Ms. Satoko Okumura, Executive Director, East Japan Railway Company, Los Angeles office. Ma'am.
Hello, I'm Satoko Okumura. On behalf of JR East, I'd like to thank JITTI-APTA and all of you for this great opportunity. Here are today's topics. I'd like to share with you some of the effects that some of the initiatives, regional revitalization and interaction. And before I get to that, let me introduce JR East. JR East was established in 1987 and became a fully private company in 2002. The company operates an integrated rail system as well as a wide range of non-rail businesses as the JR East Group. JR East business is based on two pillars. First is mobility, and the second is our lifestyle solution services. We are aiming to attain a 50-50 ratio between these two sectors in order to build a more solid business foundation. Now our main topic. JR East has been working with its local communities for over 30 years to create a healthy flow of tourism to our different regions and to revitalize them. Let me introduce some of our initiatives. One example is the Gono Line. Since 1990, JR East and the towns along the Gono Line have been working together to attract tourists to the area through the operation of sightseeing trains. Their efforts are making a great contribution to the local economy today. We are implementing the same initiatives along our various lines. JR East offers unique sightseeing trains to attract visitors. As you see in the picture, locals are there to make them feel welcome. Since 2017, we have been offering luxury sleeper train trips to our various regions. In addition to train operations, we also try to improve the overall travel environment. Developing stations as community and transportation hubs is one important way to do this. We provide on-demand transportation in areas with limited public transportation. We develop unique, iconic hotels in our communities to attract tourists. We have also made many efforts to expand sales of local specialties. In the photo is a fruit park in Sendai City. We opened in 2021 with the goal of revitalizing the local economy and attracting tourists to a place that was severely damaged by the 2011 earthquake and tsunami. In 2021, we began transporting regional foods by Shinkansen. Fresh fish caught in the morning in the north of Japan can arrive in Tokyo in time to be served as sushi for lunch. This service has increased the value of local products. Local culture is very important both for community stability and to attract tourism. The East Japan Railway Cultural Foundation provides financial support to local communities to help them preserve their traditions. This survey shows that train travel is preferred for certain distances. We are working to increase the number of people choosing trains. As an example, we can see the positive effect of the Hokuriku Shinkansen. In 2015, a direct link from Tokyo to Kanazawa City was completed, reducing the travel time by 80 minutes without the need for transfers. In the first year after this link opened, the number of tourists in prefectures along the line increased by 16 to 18%, while the number of Shinkansen passengers tripled, and in Kanazawa City, land prices doubled. In conclusion, for JR East, vibrant local communities are the foundation of our corporate operations. There is a limit to what we can do alone, but by working with local communities, we can make our efforts more effective and sustainable. Our position is ideally suited for the role of promoting regional development in cooperation with various kinds of partners. Through regional revitalization unique to JR East Group, we promote the interaction of people, products, and services, and contribute to regional economic development. Oh, thank you. This is a quick explanation. I'm in the railroad industry, so I try to be punctual. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Okumura. Our next presenter is Andy Byford, Senior Vice President, High Speed Rail Programs, Amtrak.
Thank you, Chris. Well, that's a hard act to follow. First of all, amazing what you're doing in Japan. Note to self, I need to go on the Sake concept train. What do you reckon, Chris? We should do that. So look, that is a hard act to follow. I mean, any railway that can talk about 1 minute, 18 seconds average delay, that's super impressive. We're proud of what we do at Amtrak, though. We're very proud. We're America's railroad. I've been there just over a year now. You can see the stats there for what we do. We serve the whole of the nation, and we're very proud. We've got fabulous employees, 23,000 strong team, and our ridership is actually back, as the Deputy Administrator was saying, to above COVID levels. We're booming, as you see at the bottom there, more demand for service than seats, and that's a nice problem to have. Because things really are motoring under the Infrastructure and Jobs Act. We've finally got some funding, good funding, and that's, again, a very good place to be. So often in railways you are clamoring for funding, desperate for funding, but we're in a position where we can actually make now a good investment and across the whole of our service offer, not just the Northeast Corridor, important though that is. We're making investment across the whole country and across all three of our service groups. And as was mentioned earlier, it's actually the largest construction program in the country. And that's important because we have a very clear goal to double our ridership by 2040 and to reach net zero by 2045. So that means new fleet, complete fleet modernization. We're changing the onboard service offer, upgrading every aspect of that service offer. As you heard earlier, we're making huge investment in things like the Northeast Corridor to make it fit for purpose. And it has a huge economic impact. You can see some of the stats there. As was said earlier, to me there's a compelling business case for investment in railways because A, there's the societal good, there's the environmental good, but it makes good economic sense. Look at some of those statistics about the positive economic impact both to the country and to communities and to individuals in terms of good paying jobs. Exciting times. I just want to hone in quickly on the state of Texas, which is traditionally not that well served. It's a huge area, you'll see on the next slide, but we have big plans for Texas. Obviously, the signature, the headline piece being the Dallas to Houston high-speed rail corridor, but again, across the whole of the Texas Triangle, and including extensions to come up to some of our existing services. And here's that map I thought I'd talk to you about. I did not know till I came into this job just how big Texas is. It's enormous. Look at the size of that. It's half of France, the Netherlands, Germany. It's a huge network, it's a huge state. And the network on the right is a comparison then to the kind of railways that are in Germany. And it just shows you the difference, as does this slide. We've done a comparison here between two cities or two city pairings of not that difference. Berlin and Hamburg, you can see the population there, you can see the two populations at either end, and you can see Houston and San Antonio. But when you look at the distances, they're very similar, 180 miles to 197. The drive time is, of course, pretty much similar. But look at the difference in service. That blew my mind when I saw that statistic. Thank you, Thomas, for putting this together. I had to, I checked that stat. It can't be right, but it is right. There you go, 60 daily trains between Berlin and Hamburg, 0.86 between Houston and San Antonio. So we want to do something about that. One of those some things is high-speed rail, one of the true high-speed rail, which we see very much as part of a jigsaw of different transport offers. It's not a panacea, it's not a means to an end to itself, but it's part of that overall jigsaw of the transport transport offer that Amtrak aims to achieve. So you've got mass transit, you've got conventional rail. It's part of that jigsaw for the right route. And we would say that Dallas to Houston is absolutely the right route. If you line up all of the factors that you need in terms of populations at either end, suboptimal alternatives, reasonable topography, and the right distance, 240 miles, it makes such a compelling opportunity. So, Jennifer, we're so grateful for you and the FRA for providing us with the means to fund that program. And of course, the really exciting thing is we would be using the legendary, unparalleled Shinkansen technology with its safety and reliability record that you saw earlier. So watch this space. As we say that, we're working to deliver a new era of rail for Amtrak and for the US. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy. Did you want to say something about Texas before you got? No, sorry. Our next presenter is Chad Edison, Chief Deputy Secretary, Rail and Transit, California State Transportation Agency, and I should add is the Vice Chair of APTA's High-Speed Intercity Passenger Rail Committee. Chad?
Thank you very much, Chris. Well, I have the privilege of working in California with transit agencies, rail operators across the state, and also with the state agencies that oversee them. And our job is to integrate rail and transit so that more people can use rail and transit services to move around the state. Our statewide vision that is laid out in our state rail plan, which is almost updated since the 2018 plan, is to integrate the state rail network to really ensure seamless transfers and provide capacity for robust growth in passenger and freight rail. In California today, we have over 400 trains a day running on our commuter and intercity rail systems, and that's going to grow substantially. We intend to have our passenger ridership go up about 10-fold, and our vehicle miles, our passenger miles go up 20-fold in the next 20 or so years. One of the things we lay out in our state rail plan are those near-term, mid-term, and long-term capital projects that we are striving for. But so far, we've already phased in $35 billion that we have funded in rail projects around the state. That is mostly state funding with some very, very timely federal money coming to us recently. And there's a substantial local investment in our rail systems as well. And so this is really critical, is the initial investments that help us stitch this network together. The climate change and resiliency are real issues for us. We have railroad sections that are very hard to keep open. A number of landslides and the sea level rise affecting our rail corridors during storms as well. And we're having to do some extra work right now on trying to keep our railroads open. The other thing is how do we transition to zero emission? And in California, we're very proud of the work we're doing there. Our Caltrain corridor is about to go fully electric later this year in September. That is really the foundation from which we hope to build more electric rail in the future through the state rail plan as we pull that across the bay and towards Sacramento. And then we also have hydrogen zero emission trains that we are constructing right now. One is about to go into service down by San Bernardino, and the state has ordered 10 more. And we have a battery electric multiple unit test with Caltrain that'll take one of their EMUs, put batteries in it, and have it go on further south from the Bay Area. And then finally, contactless open loop payments. This is really critical to making it easy for people to travel around the state, allowing you to buy your train ticket like you buy a cup of coffee. And that's really a focus that we have. I put up here just a couple of maps. They're not meant to be, fully legible there for you all, but like if you look here at the Central Valley where we're building high-speed rail, really critical to that is just the number of jobs that creates. Almost half the jobs of the new jobs created in the Central Valley in some recent years have come because of the construction of the high-speed rail system. And we've seen young engineers who had gone to Southern California or gone to other parts of the country able to return to jobs in Fresno, return to jobs in the Central Valley to work on the project because of the opportunities there. And that's really exciting because now they can be close to their family, close to their support networks in ways that they weren't before. Also in Southern California, as we have a Brightline come into Rancho Cucamonga, we're working heavily with the Metrolink and the Intercity rail operations down there to make sure we have really good services that tie together the region and improve the opportunities to use rail throughout the state. Part of the journey is all of these connections that you make at station hubs and so forth. And right now we are going through a transit transformation task force in California where we are looking at how we really need to change what we do in order to grow ridership and get more people onto public transportation and rail. And this slide here really highlights the importance of the longer trips. The trips that are 50 miles and greater in California are only 2% of the total travel by folks, but it makes up 25% of the miles that those vehicles put on the roads today. And in our trips of 10 to 50 miles, put on another 50%. And this really shows the high value of having the intercity and longer distance trips able to be accessed from all over the region that they serve. And that's part of our focus on tying things together. I won't dwell on this, but because it might come up more in response to a question, but as we work to start early service with high-speed rail, this just gives you a sense of the complexity of what we're stitching together here between the public infrastructure owners and the contracts that we will have to operate that early service. It's really heavily focused on the public partnerships there between the different agencies in California, and this is how we will launch our first services. So thank you very much. Looking forward to addressing some of the questions.
Thank you, Chad. And thank you for our panelists for your presentations. You may have noticed when you registered for this conference that you were asked if you had any questions to submit them then. So these are your questions that were submitted and then aggregated from people's registration. And the first question, I think, should go to Mr. Yosano. What are the pros and cons of the Tokaido Shinkansen model compared to other high-speed systems like the TGV or China's high-speed rail system? And you should feel free to elaborate since they're not on the stage to argue with you.
Yes, as I have mentioned in my slides, in the Tokaido Shinkansen, one of the characteristics of our Tokaido Shinkansen is really its safety, stability, punctuality, and the volume of transport. And comfortability. I think those are the features. And then the Tokaido Shinkansen features is something that we would like to bring to Texas project. And so Tokaido Texas project is something that we are hoping to deploy.
Thank you very much. And this question, I think, also should be addressed by you and also by Ms. Okumura, which is, what, if anything, can Japanese partners do to make the American public more interested in traveling by train?
Yes. How can I say? The land size and the cultures are very different, so it's really hard to answer that question as far as what Japan can do. But at least, in terms of Shinkansen, we have a 60-year history. So there are things that we have done really well. There are things that we have not done well, but we also have accumulated data. These are the type of things that we can share with the U.S. And within that, perhaps you are able to gather some hint from that.
Mr. Yosano?
はい、
Yes. You see, we, to the American citizens, we believe that it is necessary for the Japanese, for us to continue to encourage the American citizens to use rail. But you know, whenever Americans come to Japan and then ride the Shinkansen, they all get excited and then they really understand the attractiveness of that. So really, to experience Shinkansen is something that we can provide.
Thank you very much. I think the next question should probably be addressed to Andy and Chad in turn. Public transportation can be used for everybody, but these days high-speed trains have been, are about to be instituted in the U.S. also. These investments have to collect high-priced tickets in order to make ends meet. Who can support the initial investment cost of rail and station or transportation facilities? Is this a public or a private sector responsibility? And you both bring such an extensive background, and Andy, an international background. Perhaps you can elaborate on how best for us to move forward to replicate what we see from our Japanese colleagues.
Well, thank you. It's a question I've often been asked, actually. Should railways be are they a business or are they a public utility? Are they a public service? And my answer to that, and it's not meant to be a glib answer, it's genuinely and sincerely meant, is I think public transport, whether it be transit or whether it be long-distance rail service such as Amtrak provides, it is a public service, but it should be run as a business. And consistent with that, I think the actual financing thereof I think needs to be a bit of a mixture. I think the days of just expecting national governments to fund everything are probably gone, because more than ever national governments have huge numbers of conflicting demands on them, so many different things to fund. But equally, asking the private sector to fund absolutely everything, I think, is naive. And certainly I can't think of very many high-speed lines, high-speed routes that have been exclusively funded by either the private sector or by the public sector. Typically, there's a mixture of both. And I make no apology for saying that I think that public money should be invested in high-speed rail programs because of the benefits they bring. And we talked about that in the various presentations that we gave. I jotted down a couple of statistics. Every billion invested in high-speed rail supports 24,000 jobs. So, for the sort of elected officials out there who might argue, well, we're not putting any money, why should we put any money into this railroad because that's not legitimate or worthwhile use of public money? I would respectfully disagree with that, because when you think of what the public benefit thereby accrued, then I think there's a very good business case to be made. And that brings me on to really also another bugbear of mine, is why railways are treated differently to other modes. People don't seem to have a problem putting endless money into funding highways, motorways in England, interstates in the US. That's fine. But for some reason, railroads are different and seen as a completely different entity. And another statistic I've jotted down to reinforce the point that I just don't understand that concept, because there's so much societal and economic benefit, is the rail component manufacturing industry in the US supports 90,000 jobs, 750 companies across 39 states. So to me, that is a compelling argument to say that if you can combine the buying power and the tax advantages of the public sector with the innovation of the private sector, the transit-oriented development we heard about earlier, the people like Brightline, who've got a very good model where they go along the median and they can get things done quickly. That is the compelling mixture, and that's certainly, now that we're thinking about Texas Central, that's certainly the kind of business model that we think can work. It won't just be public funds, it has to be a mixture of public and private, equity and debt, and that's how you get these things built, and that is to our mutual advantage.
I think that was very, very well said. I don't think anybody in this audience would disagree, and they would all probably support every last comment you just made. to the conspicuous case of California, which has enjoyed no shortage of its challenges trying to finance the country's most ambitious undertaking here. Chad, the question to you.
Sure, thank you very much. And one of the big lessons in California, as we've been working on getting our first segment of high-speed rail up and running, is the importance of the public sector in advancing projects through all of the early stages, really getting to where the environmental is completed, where the project where the land for the project is acquired, where the permits are in place, and getting to that point where you can really be certain about all of the construction efforts that need to be made. Given the way the California system is being built, where we're first putting high-speed rail trains in the part of the state where they can go the fastest, where they can cover the longest distances and connect to the existing rail system to have a well-integrated network, that is not a high-revenue, high-ticket price kind of environment in which we're running those trains. Our Central Valley riders today are some of the lowest household income riders on rail in all of California. And they use the trains in the valley already to get to essential destinations, to get to visit family, to get to universities, to get to hospitals. And the high-speed trains will really speed that journey up. They will allow longer distance travel to happen in the valley, but it's really being built first to enhance the network and to grow the ridership and to create that initial service where we can run fast and we can save a lot of time and we can have other trains to carry people to their final destinations. The need to commercialize after the corridor is built is likely to be the case in California. Our highest value service is when we connect the biggest cities from the Central Valley to San Francisco, from San Francisco to Los Angeles. And so the business plan of the High Speed Rail Authority is to look to get that commercial value once the system is built, so that the higher revenue that you get from competing with air and from hauling longer distance travel is there. On the early, we have seen very good experience in California, both on the Pacific Surfliner corridor and on Caltrain. In services becoming much more cost-effective over time as they grow their ridership, as they get heavier use. We've seen as high as 80% fare box recovery on the Pacific Surfliner. It's one of the highest in the country. We saw Caltrain lower its cost per passenger mile of carrying people by 65% in a 12-year period. And so as we really deliver good service, we see that the financial part of it improves as well. And we're on high-speed rail. We're not starting out with service that's going to attract the highest ticket prices, but it's going to provide an essential and really critical benefit to people in that part of the state. And we're investing in the rail services that connect to it as well.
Chad, thank you very much. Mr. Yosano, you wanted to comment here?
新幹線
Thank you very much. Shinkansen has a very good characteristic, which is mass transit. In Taiwan, in 2007, they started commercial services. And then so they brought about 40,000 people to 50,000 people per day. However, that grown to 200 people per day. So in Taiwan, they grew so much in ridership. And also they have been able to add more capacity so that they can accommodate more people. And then so the growth of ridership is definitely a testament that once you try Shinkansen, then that means that you keep coming back to use that technology.
Very much. From the present, the American public looks at the passage of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act as a huge expenditure of federal capital. But for people in this industry, they know it's really taking care of neglected needs that this country has had for 40 or 50 years. So when you look at the Northeast Corridor, for instance, one can almost argue that it's just bringing the Northeast Corridor up to a state of good repair in replacing tunnels, bridges that date from the Civil War, new tunnels into Manhattan. So we will be doing that for the next decade, 2 decades, perhaps. In Japan, there is also a vision for the future. which is that the Shinkansen trains carry so many people that they have gotten so long that you can't even maintain proper headways because of their uses. And the way that the Shinkansen from Tokyo was laid out, it was along the flat line, as has been described. Most of Japan is mountainous. And so can you talk to us, Mr. Yosano, about your undertaking of the SC maglev?
日本ではですね、
Thank you very much. In Japan, Tokaido Shinkansen, we have been trying to implement this maglev new technology. And then this is what we have been working on as JR Central. In the first phase, Tokyo and Nagoya is going to be connected, so we are in construction phase. With this superconductive linear technology is something that northeast corridor can use in the United States. So we have been engaging with the United States through TNM, that is the company we have been working together so that we may be able to bring this technology to the United States as well.
Thank you very much. And I think your experience in Japan, you're under construction now. That will be instructive to show the U.S. once again, after 60 years of unblemished Shinkansen service, where the future lies as well. So thank you for your comments there. I think I would like to address the final question to the entire panel, and it is just a blue sky question of other than trying to bring 350 million people in the United States to a conference like this, what are your ideas for how we can bring better high-speed intercity passenger rail to the United States? And I think I would like to this time start with Ms. Okumura. Talk too much.
So you were talking about high-speed rail. Yeah, it is correct that you need to experience it to understand the attractiveness. So Mr. Yosano talked about it as well. So we receive about 2 million American tourists into Japan, and also they often use Shinkansen, and they always say that it's cool, and then why we don't have that in the United States. So they always say that kind of feedback to us. So maybe experience it, that is the biggest attraction, and also understanding. That is the easiest way for us to promote this technology.
Sure. You know, this is a big part of what I think about every day. It's part of what we're trying to achieve in California. And I think what I see when we look at people's experience with transit is that they can't really get where they can with a car in a reliable, frequent, and time-competitive way by transit today. And in many of our cities and counties around California, the number of places you can get by car in an hour, you can only get to 4 or 5% of those places by transit in an hour. And so one of our challenges is really to take our intercity and high-speed and regional rail systems, make them the backbone of high-quality regional mobility and intercity mobility, and then tie really high-quality transit services into those that have more priority on our road system than they do today. You know, we have to feed these hubs and feed these major stations on our system with services that go all over the cities that they serve. And to make transit, to be able to start to shift people out of their cars and give them options that people want rather than sitting behind a wheel all the time, we can't only focus on the longer distance trips. Those are critical. Those are ones that are going to take a lot of the traffic off of the roads and release that space for other uses. But we have to have that functioning with a system where people see it as true transit that's in their city already is truly available to them. And today that's not the case. It's not that we provide that much less service than in a lot of other parts of the world. In the Bay Area, we provide 80% of the service that they provide in Zurich, Switzerland. In the Bay Area is 50% more dense than Zurich, Switzerland. And so, I mean, we're at a level of high high service provision, but not getting the ridership, not getting the results, in part because we're not paying attention to the whole journey. We're not looking at how people can get across an entire region in a time competitive way.
Mr. Yosano, would you like to address that question?
Yes, when you use Shinkansen, it just revolutionized the way that you transport. Just to talk about my personal experience, my daughter, from starting this April, she started college in Nagoya, and she returned this weekend. She woke up at 6:30 a.m. She made a reservation for Shinkansen. She jumped on the Shinkansen 30 minutes later, and then she was in Nagoya 3 hours less than that. So it was very easy to transport, very comfortable ride. So this is a type of future. If you can imagine such a future, then perhaps you can develop Shinkansen technology. Thank you.
Final word. Oh, thank you. So my answer will be more than just high speed, because I think it's a truism for all aspects of transport, whether that be high-speed rail, whether it be conventional rail, whether that be mass transit. You have to have certain characteristics in place to make it attractive and to make people want to use the service. So it's got to be clean, it's got to be safe, it's got to be reliable, it's got to be regular, and it's got to be convenient. And in many ways, we need look no further than Japan, because I have been fortunate enough to use both the subway in Tokyo and the Shinkansen in a number of the Shinkansen routes, and it's just flawless. The stations are immaculately clean. You feel safe. The ticketing system is easy to comprehend. For Shinkansen, I'm amazed at the reliability and the regularity of the service. You know, the fact that you've got Shinkansen trains arriving every few minutes. Talk about why would you take your car? Why would you fly if you've got something that is so easy, convenient, value for money, clean, and excellent onboard service? So I think we've got a very good model to use there. Which isn't to say we're starting from scratch. I'm very proud of the service we offer at Amtrak. I'm very proud of our Amtrak service and the onboard crews that we employ. But I remain convinced, final point, I remain convinced that the real way to attract people is to get those basics right, but also once we can get a true high-speed route up and running in the US, we've got a Acela, but it's a high-speed train on a conventional route. Once we can get a true high-speed service with all the convenience and all the speed and the reliability and comfort and customer service that presents between two cities, once we get that up and running, other city mayors and other city pairs will clamour for it. No one now, hardly anyone, flies between London and Paris. Why would you? Why would you go out to Heathrow or out to Charles de Gaulle when all you have to do is get on at St. Pancras, next thing you know, you're in the Gare du Nord? It's a no-brainer, folks. Let's get it done.
Andy, thank you. Thank you very much. Try as we might to imitate the Japanese, our panel is only a minute and a half late, which they're only off performance for an entire year, a minute and a half. So we'll wrap up there. I want to thank our panelists and thank you for your attention.
Thank you to Mr. Brady and our panelists. We will now have a 15-minute coffee break in the foyer. We'll alert you when it's time to return to your seats and look forward to having you join us for the second panel momentarily. Thank you.